Files are classified into two, text files and binary files. Let me explain text files and binary file using an example. Let me open the Python editor. Let me start with a comment. A Python program to explain the different types of files. And which are the different types of files? Text files and binary files. Now step 1. Let me write a string to a text file. The string that you want to write, let it be str equals we are students of class 12. Step 2. File exists in the computer's hard disk. Our program cannot access a file directly from the hard disk. So file must be taken from hard disk. It must be placed in random access memory. Only then your program can access the file. Taking a file from hard disk and placing it in random access memory is known as opening the file. And for opening the file, there is a function by the name open. Open function takes two arguments. The first argument, the name of the file that you want to open, example data.txt. Second argument, why you are opening the file. Say I am opening the file for writing purpose, so the file mode to be used is W. Here if you simply write file name, you follow absolute path. What I mean by absolute path is this file will be created in the default path, that is D drive class 12 Python programs, and inside the folder programs the file will be created data.txt. If you want this file to be created in a different folder, use relative path, and this is how you can mention the relative path: d:/class 12 /files/data.txt. Remember, the folder should be manually created. For writing purpose, if this file is not there in the computer, program will automatically create the file, and if the file is there, the existing file will be used. Anyway, you open the file data.txt for writing purpose and let the variable name OFS point to this file. Now I want to write this string to this text file. By default, a file is always opened in text mode. So here ofs.write, within bracket you can write str, and once the use is over, don't keep the file in the computer's memory, you should close the file. Now you can save your file. You can run the program by pressing the functional key F5. I did not display any message. Now if you open the folder d:/class 12 files, you can see that the file data.txt is created, and if you double click and open the file, you can see the content. So using the write function, a string can be written to a file, and if a file consists of a sequence of characters, group of characters, that is known as a text file. By default, a file is opened in text mode. Suppose instead of writing a string, I want to write an integer to the file. Say L is equal to integer 10. Now here if I type L, save your file, Control S, run the program F5, you can see error because write function works only with a string. Integer cannot be written to a file using the write function. So if you are very particular to use the write function, 10 should be converted to a string. How can you do that? Use the str function, string function. So now L points to 10. 10 is converted to a string, character 1, character 0, and that is written to the file data.txt. You save the file, you run the program, functional key F5. I did not display any message. Okay, close it. Now if you open the file, you can see the data 10, but remember this is not actually integer 10, it is character 1, character 0. One more example. Suppose if you want to write a list to a file, instead of 10, it is a list, say 10, 20, 30. Now you save the file, Control S, you run the program F5. I did not display any message. Okay. Now if you open the file, you can see the list is written to the file. Even though you see it as a list, it is actually character left bracket, character 1, character 0, character comma, and so on. So a text file contains sequence of characters or a string. Suppose if you want to write a list as a list to a file, the file must be opened in binary mode. So if you want to write custom data to a file, the file must be opened in binary mode. What I mean by custom data is maybe the data corresponding to an audio clip, the data corresponding to a video clip, or maybe a list, dictionary, or if you want to write an integer as integer, you should open the file in binary mode. Let me start with an example. Suppose I want to write integer I and I equals 20. So the file must be opened in binary mode. To open the file in binary mode, you should suffix B to the file mode. So this is writing purpose and the file is opened in binary mode. So now the file data.txt is a binary file. If you want to write an integer as integer to this binary file, or if you want to write any custom binary data to a binary file, you should make use of the function dump. Dump function takes two arguments. The first one, the custom binary data that you want to write. Here it is integer I. The second argument, to which file you want to write the data. OFS is pointing to the file data.txt. So I want to dump the data to OFS. The dump function is inside the pickle module. So you should import the module by the name pickle. So if you want to call the dump function, it should be called as pickle, that is module name dot function name. So the integer I is written to the binary file data.txt, and after use you can close the file. Now you save the file, Control S, you can run the program using the functional key F5. I did not display any message. Close this one. Now if you open the file, you can see integer 10. See, this is not in a human readable form, because if you open a binary file using a text editor, the contents are not in a readable format. Why it is not in a readable format? See, in the case of binary file, 20 is stored in the computer's memory in the form of zeros and ones. A group of 8 bits make 1 byte. So 20 is stored in the computer's memory as a series of bytes, as a sequence of bytes, and that memory representation is dumped into the file. So the bytes are not translated, or character translation does not take place in a binary file. That is the reason why if you open a binary file using some text editor, it is not in a human readable form. But please understand, these sequence of bytes corresponds to integer 10. How can you display the data correctly? You should read the data from the binary file and it must be displayed in the computer's monitor. So let me read the data from the binary file. Step 1, the binary file must be opened for reading purpose. So let me copy paste this one. So it is opened for reading purpose, so use the file mode R. It's a binary file, so suffix B to the file mode. Now let me use a different variable name, IFS, input file stream. Now to read data from a binary file, there is a function by the name load, and load function takes one argument, the name of the file. IFS points to the file. Load function is inside the pickle module, so if you want to call the function, you should call it as module name dot load. So this will return the data from the file. It can be stored in some variable, say for example variable 1, and now if you display it, it will be displayed correctly. And after use, the file must be closed. Don't keep the file in the computer's memory. You can run the program. Yeah, 20. So here what we did is using dump, integer 20 is written to the binary file. Using the load function, the file is loaded into the computer's memory. You read the data, it is stored in a variable, and the variable is displayed. One more example, instead of integer, suppose if it is a list equals maybe 10, 20, 30. So certainly the list is dumped into the binary file. So here I can use L. Now using the load function, you load the binary file, read the data, it can be stored in some variable, example variable 1, and you can display the variable. Now let me save the file, Control S, let me run the program F5. Now this is the actual list. It is not character left bracket character 1. This is list 10, 20, 30. Now if you open the file, it is not in a human readable format because binary file contains custom binary data. So list will be represented in the computer's memory. This list is represented in the computer's memory, and that list is dumped to a binary file as a sequence of bytes. But using the load function, you can read the content correctly. It is stored in that variable and displayed. Now one more thing, let me display the type of data that is there in this variable. It must be a list. Let me display that also. So print, how can you display the type of data? Type, and here you can write variable 1. Save the file, Control S, run the program. So you can see that the list is displayed and the type of data that is there in variable 1 is a list. In a similar way, even a dictionary can be written to a binary file. Suppose your dictionary is D is equal to, in class 11 we studied how to create a dictionary. Make use of curly bracket. Now inside the curly bracket, the first element of the dictionary, key and the corresponding value. Let the key be name of the school, Nava, and let the value be, key and value is separated using a colon. Let the value be a list. It is nothing but number of games won by the school, number of games lost, number of games drawn. Now one more element in the dictionary, put a comma, the second element of the dictionary. Each and every element of the dictionary is a key value pair. So let me write the key first. So name of the school, maybe SH. Colon, because key and value are separated using colon. The value is a list. Number of games won by the school, 5. Number of games lost, number of games drawn. So this is a dictionary. Now using the dump function, you can dump a dictionary into a file, and if the file contains an integer data list dictionary data corresponding to an audio clip or video clip, the file is a binary file. Okay, so here let me replace with the variable D. The load function will read the data. It is stored in variable 1. The dictionary is displayed, and here you can see the type of data will be dictionary. You save the file, Control S, run the program. See, the dictionary is written to the file, it is read from the file, displayed in the computer's monitor, and you can see that the type of data in the file is a dictionary. So this is not treated as a sequence of characters. Now if you open the file, you can see it is a sequence of bytes. It's not in a human readable form because this dictionary will be saved in the computer's memory. And that byte representation is dumped into a binary file. So manually don't open a binary file. Using the load function, you should read the content and it must be displayed in the computer's monitor. One more important point, a load function will read the data correctly if the data is written using the dump function. If you write the data in some other way, for example, if you write the data using the write function and if you try to read it using the load function, it will not read the data correctly. So dump and load work in pair. So please make a note of that. So this is all about binary file. If you want, by default, a file is opened in text mode. A text file contains sequence of characters. We have already studied text file. Now if you want to open a file in binary mode, suffix B to the file mode. A binary file contains a sequence of bytes. It is not in a human readable form. So don't open the binary file manually. If you want to display the content properly, use the load function, read the content, store that in a variable, and the variable can be displayed in the computer's monitor. So in the case of binary file, to write data we make use of dump function. To read data from a binary file we make use of load function. They are there in the module pickle. So you should import the module pickle. So dump should be called as pickle.dump. Load should be called as pickle.load. Now dump function takes two arguments. Argument 1, the data that you want to dump. Argument 2, the file to which you want to dump. And the load function takes only one argument, the file from which you want to read the data. The load function will read only one record at a time from the binary file. It will be stored in this variable and the variable can be displayed. So if you want to read records one by one, certainly you should make use of loop, and that we will discuss in the next class.